Hello, gamers. It is me, someone who you have never heard before. That is, unless you have watched my other channel. Don't watch my other channel, please, and thank you.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
The topic at hand for this video is the game Revolt. Revolt is a racing video game developed by Acclaim Studios London and published by Acclaim Entertainment on the 18th of August in 1999, and is regarded as one of the only good games they ever released. It came out in North America for the PC, Nintendo 64 and the original PlayStation. It was also released on the Sega Dreamcast in the 17th of December of that year. It received relatively good reviews, with the PC and the Dreamcast version getting the best scores. It also, funnily enough, released as an arcade game in 2004, in the same month that Acclaim Entertainment went defunct. In 2006, the rights to Revolt and its very underwhelming successor, RC Revenge Pro, were acquired by Throwback Entertainment, and in July of 2010, it was acquired by WeGo Interactive of South Korea. In October of 2012, mobile versions released on iOS, and in April of 2013, it was released on Android. Of course, with it being a mobile game, Revolt Mobile had several in-app purchases and was pretty much just a very lazy port of the PC version. But my inferior child brain still adored it and failed to see any problems with it. What a chump. This underwhelming mobile version had 3 sequels: Revolt 2, Revolt 2 Multiplayer, and Revolt 3. All of these were okay games, but they were absolutely nothing special about them whatsoever. Revolt 2 and Revolt 2 Multiplayer were just reskinned versions of the original game, with more pay-to-win mechanics to entice players to give them money. And in fact, Revolt 2 Multiplayer didn't even really have multiplayer at all. The third game actually did show some if it was put into it, with new mechanics and new graphics, but it wasn't enough to actually make it a good game. And most people felt very underwhelmed at it, even to a 9-year-old me that played all these 4 mobile games religiously. However, this wasn't the end of Revolt. Fans of the game have continued to support the game with various game patches. WeGo Interactive re-released the PC version onto GOG.com in 2013. However, due to some legal shenanigans that my orangutan brain cannot understand, it had to be taken down due to WeGo using one of the open source fan-made patches of Revolt, which fixed several bugs that the original game had. WeGo, under the new name Super Day, has now re-released it again onto GOG.com in April 2022, and as of writing, it hasn't been taken down. It has also been put on Steam, and it's still up there. The community still supports the game, and a version of the game called rvgl has been released, which uses OpenGL and is highly moddable. However, since Revolt is still owned by Super Day, a copy of the original game is required to make rvgl work. Let me introduce you to rvgl, home of ludicrous frame rates and annoying physics. But what is it? Well, a racing game. And it is the best racing game, period. Why is it the best racing game, you may be asking? Well, as an entitled person on the internet, my word is law. Therefore, rvgl, being the best racing game, is not an opinion, but an undeniable fact. rvgl is a game about RC cars, which are very cool. In fact, they are so good, I spent some of my real life internet points, called money, to acquire some of my own RC cars. As of course, a former League of Legends player, I have never been outside to use them. In fact, I have never touched grass. I should probably go do that now, so people can't bully me for not doing it. In rvgl, or Revolt if you play the original game, you play as an RC car. Surprising, I know, manufactured by the world's fictional biggest toy company called Toyvolt. And for whatever ridiculous reason, this company decided to make their RC cars sentient. Of course, a game with such gripping story surely means that the gameplay must be able to match its grandeur. Well, I mean, you can drive RC cars, but that's really it. One of the many things you will discover when playing rvgl is its excellent soundtrack, most likely composed by 3 grown men on their 2014 MacBook Pros. Just immerse yourself in this breathtaking track. As you probably can hear, rvgl's music is sublime. Of course, this isn't actually the original soundtrack to the original Revolt, which is still an equally good soundtrack. This soundtrack playing is a fan-made one for rvgl. When you enter the game, it will first greet you with a profile select button. Once you have selected a profile, a series of riveting other options will appear, such as Start Race and Options. The options menu is pretty well fleshed out in my opinion, with plenty of graphical settings. As this is a car racing game, the game unsurprisingly has cars in it. There are 28 cars that come standard with Revolt, and a few extras come with the Dreamcast version, which can also be modded into the PC version, as well as rvgl. Now of course, rvgl is a video game, which means that you can play it. But how does one play such a game? How does a sophisticated gentleman such as myself become such a god gamer? How do you become such a true rvgl player? Well, my young Padawans, you could either play through the game as you should by unlocking cars, tracks and championships through just gameplay, or you could do what I did and just punch in a few cheat codes and unlock everything. Starting a race gives many race options. Single race, where you race a single race. The championships, where you race a series of single races with 4 total championships, each getting progressively harder. Multiplayer is a bit tricky, mostly because it requires some faffing about to set up. Time trial is exactly what it sounds like. You are to complete a race within a given time. Practice is a mode that is as its name suggests. Really the only use for this mode is to collect the stars that each map has hidden in specific places. These stars are used to unlock more cars that are normally not able to be unlocked through other methods. The final mode is Stunt Arena, where you are given a skate park-esque location where you can do various quote-unquote tricks and collect more stars. Collecting all of the stars in the Stunt Arena unlocks a secret game mode called Clockwork Carnage, where you drive a tiny clockwork car with terrible handling and very high center of gravity against 29 other clockwork cars, which creates a very infuriating few minutes of racing. However, thankfully it's not as rage-inducing than a game like League of Legends. After you select your game mode, the game asks you for how realistic you want the physics to apply to all cars in the race. You could go from Junior RC right up to Simulation. Junior RC is for wimps, or the little cousin who you don't let play games on your phone. It reduces the top speed of all the cars in your race and uses simple collisions. Console uses simple collisions between cars and other objects, but has full speed. Arcade uses simple collisions between cars and full speed. Simulation, which is what all the professional Revolt players use, as it proves it to be the most challenging to play. After you select your physics realism, the game presents you with the name wheel. You could either input a name in there like you're supposed to, or you could punch in a cheat code. After a name is selected, the game will allow you to pick a car. Most of them will be locked from the start, but you can unlock them by completing various challenges, such as coming first in single races. After selecting your car and skin, the game allows you to pick a track/championship based on which game mode you picked. In game, there are a number of power-ups that you can pick up and use to your advantage. You can collect these by driving through one of several lightning bolts placed across the map. These are as follows: the ball bearing, the bomb, the clone pickup, the electro pulse, the firework, the oil slick, the shockwave, the turbo battery, the water balloon, and the global pulse. Revolt was apparently one of the most graphically intense in a game of its time. and its physics still hold up relatively well compared to other physics-based vehicular combat races of modern times. I am too young to be around when it was released, so I'll just have to take the word of random people on the internet. One thing that sets Revolt apart from other racing games is the tracks. Since Revolt is all about racing RC cars, all of the environments are designed to make you feel like you really are an RC car, such as racing around an urban neighborhood, a supermarket, or on the inside of a museum. The layout of these tracks make good use of the environment by weaving the track in and out of different parts of the map environment. These, plus the interesting and fun track layouts, make for a great racing experience. Multiplayer adds some spice, as it allows, hence the name, you to play with friends over the same network, either playing a regular race or playing battle tag. If you're some tech genius nerd, you can set up your home network to host games with players all around the world, and even host tournaments. The software named rvgl Launcher allows players to install the game, download mods, and enter upcoming events. The rvgl Launcher was made fairly recently and is very useful, especially for people who are new to Revolt and need an easy way to get into the hobby of playing this game. It links directly to the Revolt World website, allowing users to install mobs from the website directly to the launcher, which allows the game to be far more accessible to new and inexperienced players. rvgl is extremely moddable too, as rvgl is open source. Making a mod is surprisingly easy as long as you have some skills in Blender and know how to make textures. Of course, as you are all guessing, I'm indeed a Blender god, as you can see by the car that I've created for my use in rvgl. It's the first thing I completed in Blender, so I'm proud of my creation, even if it is extremely underwhelming. Revolt has a series of fan websites in which the player base can view, download, rate, and upload custom modded cars, maps, and car skins. These are Revolt World and the now obsolete Revolt Zone and Revolt XTG. My personal favourite mod is the car named Stinger, made by Fimik on the Revolt World. For custom content creation, the community member Marv has created a Blender plugin for creating custom Revolt content. Revolt and its fan-made predecessor rvgl are excellent games, and I would highly recommend them to anyone who is remotely interested in it. It is time I made an exit, so I will see you next time when I make another of these kind of videos about a different game or topic or whatever else I decide to do.